welcome out to the Cars, Bars, and Guitars podcast, episode 54.
Point 2.
I'm AJ.
And I'm Steve.
Steve, who are we brought to you today by?
Weird stuff in Corvettes. C5 with squeaking belt, a C3 with a flat tire, a whole bunch of motorcycles going down Albemarle Road, and the shaky Casio watch, as well as a shaky podcast.
Yeah, well, Steve, we have plenty of good shit.
Hooray!
So why don't you tell people about this new religion that'll bring you to your knees?
If I please.
If you please.
So what we have here is the imported Black Velvet Toasted Caramel, 70 proof. Black Velvet Toasted Caramel whiskey. Smooth, flavorful whiskey, balanced with distinctly delicious caramel flavors.
Distinctly
and
delicious.
Distinctively. This distinks.
Yes.
Distilled. Caramel flavors, warm toasty notes, served chilled as is or with your favorite mixer. Like chasing it with a center range cookie dough!
And I have a Boulevard Bourbon Barrel Quad Barrel Aged Ale.
And this can's already open, so I can't make the
I mean, that what you
noise
just
for
did.
it.
You just did.
Okay.
And the caramel is delicious also.
Imported by Black Velvet, Import Co., Canandaigua, New York. We swear this isn't Canada, New York. Never mind, hey, they border.
Canada, New York.
Canandaigua.
Niagara. Well, Steve starts his new gig tomorrow, and I thought it was Tuesday, but he corrected my wrongness, and it's tomorrow.
No, Monday's going to be more super.
Well, if things play out the way we hope, Tuesday will be super, but Monday will be super for job.
Yep. Unfortunately, I've still got about a month to give the old job 4, 4, and 4, so my 2 weeks' notice is turning into about 7 weeks' notice. But it's going to be 4 hours a day for 4 days a week for up to 4 weeks, because sure as hell I'm not going through and recording in that dump. Best of luck, fellas.
Yeah.
Because my replacement apparently is either untrained or doesn't exist. It kind of depends on the day as to whatever the hell's going on there. Back when Rick quit back in October, my utter commiserator on third, I told them, like, well, you better make it 2. What? 2 third shift print operators, because I'm going to be walking as soon as I can. Well, now I can, and I will.
They can't possibly have a workload to support 2 shifts, do they? Or do they?
Realistically, the new guy on second could go on third, but he keeps showing up about 3.5 days a week, so they don't trust him to show up. Now, I had this pesky notion of showing up, albeit my tardiness has been rampant, but they at least get their stuff out and keep staying late a lot of the time, too. So I had to give up a lot of otherwise lucrative valet shifts for fear that I'm going to be there too late to make it to the Palm at 11.
Well, here's a CBG top tip for you. If you're late to work, don't hurry to get there, because you can't be late twice.
Unfortunately, the new gig comes with a much stricter attendance policy, so that's why I got the new shaker watch here that thus far is proving underwhelming.
That thing got a Hemi under that shaker hood?
Nah.
All right.
It's got a 10-year battery. It's like, yeah, let's watch this not last that long.
What time does Special K get up for work?
She will finally get out of bed about 8 to leave for work about 10.
That's right. She has like a mid.
Kind of 10:30 to 6:30 or so.
Oh. That actually, I mean, in theory, that doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah.
But I'm so used to doing mornings that I don't know if I could do that anymore.
Back when I was on first shift in data center for a while, I was working at 6 a.m. And as much as I hated it, I could at least get there in time. But that was also a little bit shorter commute, about 20 minutes instead of the 30 that it is now.
Right.
And here it's going to be a little bit shorter commute. What's been about 25 miles in 25, 30 minutes will be about 15 miles in 20 to 25 minutes. And also then it's all either all back roads or just taking 45 to 85 to get up there.
I was going to say, you can probably get there faster in the morning taking back roads and get there faster coming home taking the interstate.
Deer aren't awake at 5 a.m., right?
I know I've been awake eating their delicious jerky, which we need to have on here. Oh, Samir brought me some Bosnian beef jerkies. It's from the Bosna market on Central Avenue. I don't know why it was called jerky. It should have been called melt in your mouthy, like It was really fucking good. Like,
That's
really good.
almost as disgusting a phrase as the word mouthfeel.
I didn't mean for it to be.
Melt in your mouth. You think, oh.
We had a little bit of.
What is this, an M&M?
They had a little bit of. We had a little bit of popping going on right just then. Just deal with it for now. I'll have to fix this shit later. You get the gist of it. And I'm not restarting the computer again because Steve lovingly built this computer for me. Oh, I don't know, 5 years ago, and for the most part, it's been trouble free.
My dad had lovingly given it to me after whoever he bought it from on eBay lovingly never sweated the return policy after refunding the money or something really strange. So it was a free computer a long time ago, and the alleged other freebie that I have is now in pieces after letting Kalen's uncle piece it apart because he needed power supply and graphics card, and apparently getting the power supply out required disassembling the whole damn thing. So it's like, well, here's everything. He brought it by the day. It's like, well, this is getting gridded because I don't need any of this.
There needs to be a
and that's a case bigger than that one because that's already a monster.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
There needs to be a power metal tribute to Air Supply called Power Supply. Lost in love and I don't know much. So yeah, I don't know what the popping is. You're just gonna have to fucking deal with it at this point because we are. I'm not restarting this again. But yeah, you start a new job tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow, which is good.
And I'm going to have to be absent from the saucer for a while because it's going to be a very brutal series of 56-hour weeks in the meantime. But at least then it's just kind of making little triangles going to work instead of go to work, go home, sleep 2 hours, then go valet somewhere, then come back and then sleep a little bit. It's a mess either way.
So there's gonna be a lot of Sunday pods going on.
Sure.
I'm okay with that anyway. If you want to start doing that on Sundays,
I like doing it middle of the week, so I can have my weekends just do nothing. But that's not conducive to anything right now because I'm gonna need middle of the week to pretend to sleep.
Well, we can do Sundays while you're going through transition, and then we can go back to midweek.
Or private hell. Yeah,
yes.
So hopefully by April that'll be in more better shape.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Well, Steve, we got an action-packed episode for you.
What?
Let's see. Do you want to do some beer news before we delve into all the shit we're going to delve into?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Cool. So, Steve, the best beer bar, according to craftbeer.com in North Carolina is... What do you think it is?
Riley's 366 Beer Garden.
No. But you're in the somewhat correct part of the state. Fermental in Wilmington. Craft beer bar. Never been? Don't know where it is in Wilmington. Somewhere in Wilmington.
The only place I recall in Wilmington was Front Street Brewing.
I enjoyed that.
And that's been almost a decade since I've been there.
Jesus. Emily and
I've had beers from Wilmington, but Wilmington proper I don't recall. Like Brunswick County have had a bunch of their stuff, and you played at Mackay a few times.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that spot. Check Six was a neat spot, but the beer was underwhelming. But this was also right after the hurricane and right after we got engaged, so hopefully they're doing more better. Since aviation had already been taken by Holly Springs, Fuquay, Verena flaring up.
Mm-hmm. I've been to Front Street. Front Street is awesome. And then Emily and I went to a couple more when we were out there for our anniversary. This year will be Toronto. Can't wait to do that.
Oh, yeah, going to Toronto.
Yeah, man. That was Jamaican. What the fuck? All right, we've covered this a little bit in past episodes, but Americans are still not drinking Corona due to the coronavirus. 38% of Americans admit they won't drink Corona beer. Shouldn't it be 100% won't drink it because it fucking sucks? I mean, shouldn't that be the reason?
Well, the thing is, with the Corona, you gotta put Lyme disease in it.
Maybe the cure for Lyme disease is coronavirus, and maybe the cure for coronavirus is Lyme disease. Like a snake and mongoose.
Yeah, that's it.
So, Steve, other than that, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren's favorite beer is Michelob Ultra. She should drop out because of that, actually. I would have thought.
I think she might as well have answered Dasani.
Well, if you're the senator of Massachusetts, there's a pretty well-known brewery.
Sam Adams or bust.
Yeah, because you may. Nobody says I don't like Sam Adams
or Clown Shoes. Michael Dave does, but he's a Miller Coors guy anyway.
There's
among other flaws.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah. Well, with all those good choices, I do not salute you. Yingling to release Flight, an upscale light beer for drinkers with active lifestyles. It's low carb and low calories from your friends at Yingling. Why?
They've already got a Yingling Light. What do you want?
Yeah, and that if you would have told me they would have had a Yingling Light a long time ago, I would have called you crazy. But they also had they had another specialty beer last year, like it was a darker sort of thing.
My first legal 6-pack was the Yingling Black and Tan back in late 2002. Mm-hmm. Back then, said 6-pack was only $5. And now that same 6-pack is going to be $10.
Ugh. I haven't had a Black and Tan in probably a decade. We ought to have some nostalgia beers on here. Go get the make your own 6-pack and then just make a 6-pack of the nostalgia beers. Cincinnati's Dell Hall, a 44-year-old Army veteran, is only consuming beer for Lent. Again.
Okay.
So,
dude, you've got a Dell.
I don't see what rolling in the deep has to do with this. Oh, never mind.
Actually, no, you have an HP here.
Yes, I do. And I'm very glad I have an HP.
And the gutted computer is a Dell. I don't think you want it. Now it's like, the power supply's out of it. It's like, don't worry about it, Jay. It's like, you keep it set on fire. I really don't care. You've already struggled enough trying to get that thing apart.
The problem with consuming only beer for Lent is we do love our beverages, but they do kind of have a lot of calories.
Yeah, they'll flow right through you as well.
He's going to be peeing a lot, probably gaining quite a bit of weight. I don't know where this guy works, but he just, I don't fucking know, man. The pops are bothering me, but
what's the guy's name?
Dell Hall, DEL space HALL. Daryl Hall's fat cousin. Dell Hall, Cincinnati, not the bow tie. Oh my god, this caramel's so good. I could just sit here and smell this. Like you could just make a candle out of this, and it would be delightful. I'm thinking about having more. Twist my arm a little bit, Esteban.
Go for it.
Actually, I wonder how. Why don't you pour me a little bit of that cookie dough in, or there we go. Let's see what the cookie dough mixed with this tastes like. All right, we're all about the mixtures. I forgot where Thomas asked for a mixture of something at Resident Culture, and they said, "Oh, we don't mix our beers here." Like,
I think the running gag at Resident Culture is they made one really strong IPA in varying degrees of watered down. That you have your 9%, your 8.7, your 8.3, your 8, your 7.7, your 7.3, your 7, your 6.7, 6.3, 6. Everything's hazy. Everything's good, but it's just how much effort are you putting into this with your crazy art style from Don Garlitz anyway?
That is kind of true. Let's see what this tastes like.
Mo better.
That's really good.
That's incredible.
That's truly excellent. It's like caramel cookie dough, which I'm kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised nobody's tried to do a caramel cookie dough anything before. Maybe it's because they're just two competing hardcore flavors. But alcohol version works. Ice cream. All right, ice cream probably works too. We digress.
I was skimming through this article about the previous Dell Hall experiment, and he said by day 43, he was officially down 41.5 pounds.
Jesus, I thought he gained weight.
Since it was nothing but beer, but it's not like he's going to be snacking on pretzels, chips, pizza, or wings in the process.
Well, that's true. You would think he would at least gain some weight, but
Staying active, and some beers do contain more nutritional value than others. Say a red oak.
true.
Anything unfiltered, like there's going to be at least something to the grain going into it that could nourish you. But hey, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just a connoisseur.
And by the way, he's going for a world record of 50 days of only drinking beer. But now the Guinness Book of World Records will not recognize that because they don't want to encourage people just drinking alcoholic beverages. So,
Well, what if he was just drinking Guinness?
that's fair. You would actually feel more full drinking nothing but... Jesus, how many Guinnesses do you think you could drink in one day and not hate yourself?
Well, 24 hours in a day, 24 beers in a case.
True, but
I
it's
could
hard
at
to
least
drink in your
experiment
sleep.
for
Ask Bon Scott.
oof. Say too soon, but it's been 40 years.
It's been 40 years now. So, well, last night went to Armored. No, not Armored Cow. Went to
old
Armored.
old
Brewing.
armored cow.
Old
It's, it's old beef jerky.
Old Armored Brewing in Kannapolis. Huge, by the way. But then we're at a table, and the table had like a really long metal slab underneath it, and then it had like a clear, like a glass on top. And we were like, "What is that?" And we found. I was like, "Oh, it's a chopper blade." And I'm like looking. I was like, they were like, "What are you looking for?" I'm like, "I'm seeing if it was from California." That was too soon. Although not making fun of the situation, it's making fun of the helicopter. We digress again, Steve. So this is weird because I don't think feelings... Anyway, Maryland woman returns her beer stein to German brewery after 55 years because she felt guilty about stealing it. So she stole it 55 years ago, and she's just now feeling guilty about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
55 years is a long time to stew about something. Steve, what are your thoughts on this in German?
This is a Scheiße. Du würdest mir diesen Stein geben, bitte.
I don't speak German, but I kind of was going where you were going with that.
For those less in the know, this is bullshit. Give the Stein to me.
Yes. I wonder what that would taste like drinking beer out of a 50, because that's had a lot of different beers in it. Hopefully,
It's
how many
ceramic. You can wash it. It's okay.
Just because you can wash it.
Das ist grausam.
And in other news, exotic mushrooms have been grown from beer waste in the cellars
In
of
unwashed
Brussels.
beer steins.
Of Brussels, Belgium. They've been growing exotic mushrooms from beer waste, which Steve would appreciate, because the only kind of mushrooms I allegedly like are the ones that make you hear what color the number 5 tastes like.
The revolution will be synesthesia.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. In a way, it's good. You're making food for people, but are they beer flavored mushrooms, or are they? I mean,
Well, the nature of a fungus, it's going to be able to grow from about anything.
well, that's true too, and they're very earthy. Yeah, more for you.
And I figure if you don't like my grilled baby bellas, you're still not going to like any mushrooms. The grilled portobello was too mushy, but the grilled baby bella
Yeah.
was awesome.
Did you get the cap? Did you grill the whole cap, the big portobello caps?
I took the stem out, but grilled the cap of it. Yeah.
Okay, got you.
The last night tried to grill steaks and ran out of propane. So darn, we had cast iron ribeyes instead.
Oh darn!
Holy shit, those were good.
Oh, of course. You just had to get the skillet really hot and sear it real good on the inside.
Yeah, we
on the
wound
outside,
up
but-
with 2 mediums and a medium rare to rare steak out of not quite 2 pounds. It turned out pretty good
Yes.
with the Salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder has been my go-to seasoning for the last couple of months, and I've been really happy with that. And olive oil.
We had the discussion at Saucer one night, and I don't remember what you said, but I remember Preston said beef. It was like you can only pick one kind of meat to eat the rest of your life. If you can pick seafood, but that will include anything that comes out of the sea. And you can pick beef, and that could be a steak, a burger, cube steak, ribeye, any kind of beef, taco. Like you could do that. Like, and then if you pick blah blah blah. I said pork. I would only, if I had to pick one kind of meat, I would just eat pork. Preston said beef. I'm pretty sure Toby said beef. What would you say?
Good seafood. Lot more options there that you have so many different creatures that you can pick from.
There's a lot.
And I like all of them.
Have you had a seafood dish you don't like? Are you an oyster guy?
Yeah.
I like oysters also, but I don't like mushrooms, which is fucking weird. But I don't make the rules.
You like what you like.
I've had
and everything else that you don't like, everybody's going to know about it.
At least twice. Steve, a single-A baseball team in Kentucky called the Kentucky Legends has changed their name to the Kentucky Beer Cheese. That's a hard mascot to replicate on the field, isn't it? Like the
yeah.
I mean, how does
so you're saying now they are legendary?
Maybe, but I think Liquid Mascot should be another punk band name. We need to. I need to go back and listen to all
these. If you pour the Kool-Aid Man out, do you think he would die?
That's true.
Was
is it the jar or is it the Kool-Aid?
I think that was like I heard that like the rock alternative station back when I was a teenager, and then I called into the station saying, "If you fill him back up, does he come back to life?"
And it's a valiant or a noble question, actually. Once again, sorry about the pops. In final beer news, Steve, we have a New Jersey brewery opening this week, and I'm so pissed off at myself for not coming up with this name. Dr. Brewlittle Brewing Company. I'm very upset with myself that I didn't think of that. But I guess now we have another reason to go to New Jersey. Wait, did we actually have a reason to go? Heard Atlantic City's
icky, but it's less bad than it had been.
Well, you know our bartender Vivian at Pour 64, Sarah's mother. She's always there. Anyway, you would know her.
I haven't been there since one of the first times I heard Cousin's Maine Lobster was going to be there and got sticker shock at the food truck, so instead of drank more.
It's $20 lobster roll night, and then you got to wait in line for an hour to get it.
Any Harry Teeter has a lobster roll for $6, and it doesn't suck.
Yeah, and Food Lion has sushi, and it's not horrible.
Yeah.
So,
I think my first sushi was Harris Teeter Sushi when I lived in Raleigh.
Nice.
But between that and a restaurant called Sushi Thai,
yeah,
somewhere not far from State. Yeah.
Oh, we went to Sushi Thai for one of the cousins.
Oh, so you're saying 15 years later it still exists. That's nice to know.
It was fucking delicious, too. God, I really want some sushi now.
Okay.
But we have a tradition around here.
Mm-hmm.
And one's significantly cheaper than the other one.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to work tonight at Print Shop, right?
No. What I'm doing is burning whatever vacation time I've accrued by taking Sunday nights off from here through the end of job.
So you're just going to work Monday through Thursday?
It's going to be basically Tuesday morning through Friday morning, 1 to 5, and then do photo booth 6 to 3 or whatever.
When are you going to sleep?
Afternoons. It's just going to be a different wonky sleep schedule, which is why I'm just eschewing everything else during the week.
Well, you can give us your saucer card. We can rack you up some booze. I still say we should get an alternate card and have a plate party for everybody and the person not exist. Because for those of you who don't know, you get a card at Saucer, only 3 count per night. Well, some of us like to have 4. So if we all drink on that account, we can drink for another plate party and have a group party. And the joke on Monday was, we'll give it to Toby's girlfriend Mariah, who doesn't even drink beer. She'll have a plate party, and the plate was going to say, "Not even one." Oh, Jesus. All right. Well, Steve, do we delve into some topics for today?
Okay.
What do you want to do? Music first, or I say we do cars first.
Okay.
Cool. Well, Steve and I do not. We've talked about them before. I don't know if it's our favorite Swedish car maker.
I'm gonna say second favorite for me because of the nature of my first 2 cars.
That's true. And I did test drive one. So we're going to give you our Saab story today. Saab from Sweden. This car's. Steve, I test drove a 9.
That are born from jets. How does do?
Yeah, born from jets is. If you've watched the Top Gear episode, it's kind of a misnomer, but I mean technically yes, but technically not. Saab Automobile was a manufacturer founded in Sweden in 1945 with its parent company Saab AB. Began a project to design a small automobile, the Saab 92. And if you've ever seen a picture of it, it looks atrocious. But it was futuristic for the time. I mean, it was mucho curvy where the rest of them were mucho not. In 1968, the parent company merged with Scania Vabis, and 10 years later, the Saab 900 was launched. And the 900 went to, I guess, the mid-90s, mid to late 90s.
Yeah, until becoming the 9.3, and that still looked the same.
That's true. I like the 900 and 9000 monikers better. Mm-hmm. Monikers, numeric values.
Is it like names, numbers? Neighbors.
It wasn't a bad looking car. It just was not a good car because it had a 2-stroke engine. And Steve, do you want to explain to the people what kind of technology that is?
In dog years, it's dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's older tech now using cheap yard equipment where you mix your gas and oil together, say at a 50-to-1 ratio. In the case of a chainsaw, that's pretty easy. You've got your tank, and then you add your ounce of fuel or ounce of oil to your gasoline. In the case of a car, I'd imagine that's a bit trickier. Unless, say, you fill it up and then, all right, you put 8 gallons in, then you need to put 2% additional oil in that.
It makes my brain hurt thinking about, because I've never actually seen an engine cutaway of what a 2-stroke engine looks like.
It's a much simpler design, and it's also worse for emissions. That's why you don't see those in cars anymore. Or really,
equipment.
like the yard equipment, yeah, it's going to be older stuff or cheap motorbikes, and it sounds like a strangled cat.
Well, the company made prototypes of the Saab 92 in 1949, but then the 92 finally went into production in December of 1949.
Not to be confused with the Subaru, the 92X.
Which is a damn good-looking fucking car. Probably the best-looking front of any...
Saab or Subaru.
Yeah, basically.
The last of the 95s I really enjoyed.
Yes, that one.
All 6 of them.
Well, I was going to say, like, most of the fronts, fascias of the Subaru Imprezas after 1999, 2000 were not great.
I like the Alpha knockoffs, like the 07s.
Yeah, they had I like the 05, 06 year. They've changed the front of that more than I've changed my underwear. Like, they haven't, like, the Bug Eye actually...
Boxers, briefs, lack thereof, do go on.
Boxer engine briefs? I broke Steve. Well, the Saab saw its third major revision to the 92 platform in 1960. The 96 was an important model for Saab. It was the first Saab to be widely exported out of Sweden. In the day... Let's see.
Were they front drive from the get-go? Because that was... it wasn't necessarily a new technology, but still pretty rare technology. Love it or not.
It doesn't actually, sir.
because it was big news when GM finally had their front drive cars in the Riviera and Toronado in the late 60s. But prior to that, the Accord in 1937 was front drive. The Citroën Traction Avant just means front drive, and that was earlier.
Well, actually, Saab stands for Svenska Aeroplan Antebolaget. So that's what it stands for. And actually, and it doesn't actually say where what drive it was. But I remember James May saying that you know how some of the old school Cadillacs had the hidden back wheels, like this one had the front wheels like that, and he goes, it made it sleeker and it got better fuel mileage. But in Sweden, what it did was water got up underneath and froze, and then you couldn't
rust
steer.
out. I figure between rust or just slush accumulating, that's not a good look. And also with it being on a steering axle, that's a really bad idea.
Oh yeah. So the 92 was in production.
And I never liked that look anyway.
Me neither. Selling 20,000 cars through the mid-50s, but then it was re-engineered in 1955, renamed the 9.3 because it gained a cylinder going from 2 to 3 cylinder.
Hey, that's some Ford Fiesta numbers right there.
And a wagon variant, the Saab 95, was added in 59. What the palindrome? The decade also saw Saab's first performance car.
The Sonnet?
Yeah, that's a desperately pretty looking car.
I just found the wheelbase on those looking really strange. It's a short car with the wheels really matched together.
Well, Lancia Stratos was like that too, and
that one didn't bug me as much though.
That one didn't have as much overhang over the front though, where the Saab had that traditional short deck, long front with the wheels kind of going through.
The wheels almost rubbing up against the front door.
Yeah. This is the 92s. So even more important to the Saab's fortune was the Saab 99 in 1968.
Which was the precursor to the 900 that set them in motion for having the same design for their bread and butter from then until the end of their company.
Basically, the 99 was the first all-new Saab in 19 years, and a clean break from the 92. It had innovations and features that would come to define Saabs for decades, which would be the wraparound windscreen, self-repairing bumpers, headlamp washers, and side impact door beams. The design was no less revolutionary than the underlying technology, and elements like the Saab hockey stick profile graphic continued to influence Saab design until the end, which I always really liked.
Was that also the beginning of the ignition in the center console instead of on the console?
I think that was always a thing.
Do you know why they did that?
Airplanes.
No. In the case of an accident, you're not going to be impaled by your keys.
What if I want to go out like that?
Then you need to use a longer flathead screwdriver when you're trying to hijack a car.
Here's a 69 Saab 99. That's so cool looking. It's like almost a hatchback, but not quite. Saab AB merged with Swedish commercial manufacturer Scania Babis AB to form Saab Scania AB under the Wallenberg family umbrella. I love their burgers.
Heyo. Donnie or Mark?
Yes.
Which new kid is yours?
The one off the block. New kids, old kids off the block. The farewell tour. In 1978, they entered an agreement with Fiat and rebadged the Lancia Delta as the Saab 600 and jointly developed a new platform. I don't remember what that looks like.
I'm unaware of that being a thing as I'm reading along Wikipedia with you, too.
Nice. You want to click on that Saab 600?
I'm trying to get it to open in a separate tab, and it's having none of it.
Okay, I'll try. Some of it. Open new tab. I'll look at it vicariously.
It just says Lancia Delta, which is the boxy car that is only worthwhile for its Integrale Rallymobile. That is not the Rallymobile. That is a plainer Janer looking one.
That's a Lancia Delta LX. That's what it pulled up.
The Delta Integrale is the cool looking one with the round headlights.
Fuck yes, it is. Which looks like kind of a European version of a GLX or GLH. It goes like hell. It kind of looks like it reminds me of that.
If a GLH had the 4 eyes in the front, because I always like that look in the old Volkswagens and old BMWs.
I liked it less on the Integra. Yeah, they were
Yeah,
too small.
they're tiny.
Yeah,
and then they revised and it looked even stranger. But I always kind of like the 94-ish Integras with that.
Well, 93 was the last year of the really
Cascaded
long.
lights, yeah.
I liked that a lot. The ITR from Japan. That's such a pretty car.
It was just funny. Like back before I got my Camry, I test drove a couple of GSRs.
God, that would have been great.
What could have been?
Got stolen.
Yeah, funny because at the time I was living in Raleigh, and half my friends had Integras. I don't think anyone had the GSR. It was all the GS or LS,
So
the lesser models. But
yeah, well, the
I don't think
LSs
anyone got
would move. The LSs would move though because they had the 1.8 liter VTEC engine, so they were still as fast as the Civic.
Yeah, it was still not the mid-tier go fast GSR model,
Right.
but yeah, it was still not shabby. It was just, at the time it was a planter generator car from Acura,
Right.
like the great grandfather of the ILX that was the last stick possible Acura until 2015.
They're dead.
Which is unfortunate because the TLX is a handsome devil.
Oh my god!
It's like, sedans are dumb, but that's a pretty car.
That would get a strong consideration for replacement for if I just needed. But you're kind of right at this point, like especially with me carrying around musical gear. Like when the Jeep had a new water pump put in lately, I could have done it. A, I didn't want to. Two, I didn't want to. And I had the front brakes fixed and everything. They were kind of getting juddery, and I just didn't want to fucking do it. Okay, I can do it. I just didn't want to fucking do it. All right,
got time for that.
Don't judge me.
What's the shop you went to?
But I casually looked at Outback XTs and Forester XTs. But I'll be honest with you, I kind of think I'd rather have the Outback XT. It's got 40 more horsepower.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
The Outback XTs will fucking scoot. And then because I'm gonna sell the S2000 anyway, so I was like, well, I can just have my daily be my kind of hey.
Did you list that yet?
You've been
to
kicking
Cars
around
that idea for a hot minute.
This Saturday.
Ooh.
And if it's not
That's
raining,
funny because I'm going to be taking pictures of cars professionally. So that's my new gig at Carvana, y'all.
So I'll be going there with I'm gonna put a for sale sign in the window and for sale $20,000. Here.
Have some fun with it. Just put it for a bunch of twos. So there's some wiggle room.
Well,
maybe get more, maybe get your 20K.
I doubt it. It has been in an accident, but
yeah,
it has been repaired. But it has the factory hardtop. I mean,
and that's a fifth of its value right there.
Option. So I thought I'm gonna put $20,000 firm. Don't offer me any less. Have my number. I'm here at Cars and Coffee now. Text me if you want to talk to me about it. Like. Because the title's in there.
Because I haven't been to Cars and Coffee since they've been at Whitehall, and that's been a while. Like I haven't been in almost 2 years. Because I went.
Do you want to go Saturday? I'll drive.
I would love to. Yes.
All right, so I'll drive. Just come here and you can take one last ride in the S2000.
Sweet.
I'm gonna see what the new Z's look like.
Hey, could I take a first drive in it? You did offer.
I'll consider.
I'm only going to be driving like companies' cars professionally.
Right.
Well, also valeting and successfully haven't crashed anything doing that either.
That's true. I've successfully crashed my car and you haven't, so that's one point in your camp.
In the meantime, Friday there's light rain. Saturday is clear, low 36, high of 54.
Interesting.
So that's looking real nice.
Cool. Man, back to Saab. we're bad. But I was going to see what
was this last episode? We got super distracted.
Oh my god. Well, I
was like, I had fun, but I don't remember anything that we talked about, Kalen.
Well,
that's how a lot of these go.
They do. I have to go back and listen to some of it to get ideas for what to put in the when I forget to write shit down on it. But I want to see what the new Z looks like, but also Nissan's tanking fucking hard. So I'm thinking I might just go old school with it and just deal with parts availability being tragic.
It was funny when I went to the new Lidl opening. One of the cars passing by was a really nice 90-something 300ZX, oddly enough in white.
Oh, they're so pretty. But they're
like,
heavy. Oh my God, they're heavy. 3,500 pounds heavy. That's a heavy fucking car.
What is this, my second Tacoma?
Well, the 99 was expanded in 73. It had the addition of the Combi Coupe model, a body style which became synonymous with Saab. The 1 millionth Saab was produced in 1970.
4.
6. Saab entered
A million Saabs with folks get married. It's a big year. America turns 200.
That's true. It was the bicentennial. Jesus, at the tricentennial, I will be 110 years old. Yeah. The tricentennial will be in 2076. Because the bicentennial was 1976.
You'd be 290.
The tricentennial is this year in 2076. 1776, 1876, 1976, 2076. Right? 1776.
86 to 76. You'd be 90.
Oh, yeah. I'll be 100, whatever. No, I'll be 90. Whatever. I told you it's been a long day. Hey, I worked today, and you didn't. You got sleep for once, and I didn't. I majored in math. Moving on.
The new watch went off like, oh, it's working. Got to get the hang of that.
The watch went off telling you to tell me that I was bullshit at math.
The wrong Casio. This is the calculator watch. That's what I'm going to need. I'm going to need the 200-meter water-resistant calculator watch with vibration alarm and super bright light.
Well,
look at that.
Jesus.
It's not an Indiglo.
Well, so I'll
but
be
at least
90.
It's got a good light in it.
I'll be 90. You'll be 90.
I'll be not quite 95 once Bicentennial rolls around.
All right, so which one of us is going to be dead before then? Who do you think's going to live longer, me or you?
You didn't want to see 30, so there's that.
I said I wanted to. I just said I didn't know if I would. That's a 50-50. We live the same lifestyle. You're practically married, and I am married, and we both have no children we know about, and we drink, but not to excess.
Yeah, never mind. Like, we've got all the saucer plates. Like,
How do you do it?
well, if you're doing it once or twice a week to make it count, like, it's not that hard. It's beer. It's not like we're polishing off a bottle of whiskey in that time. Like,
yeah.
One of my old coworkers from Stanley Steamer, last I saw him, was working at Vizart.
Yes.
He already looked old back 20 years ago, and like more so then. I was like, you're still not that much older than me, Van. What the hell, dude?
Do you remember the jingle? Stanley Steamer, we're tough on dirt, gentle on carpet.
Nope.
You don't remember that?
Nope.
It was all over TV down here.
No,
Maybe
I just
not in
remember
Greensboro.
something about it was only courtesy of Jeff and Colin working for him that became Crappy's summer job of 2002. Yeah. Speaking of other bad jobs, maybe don't work for them either.
Better to be a muncher than a cleaner of carpet.
Heyo. Too bad that Lebanese restaurant closed.
Well, Lebanese people like to eat Oh, that's lesbian. Saab agreed to do the rebadge of the Lancia Delta, and in 1985, the 9000 was the sister to the Alfa Romeo 164, the Fiat Croma, and the Lancia Thema. Horrible fucking name. All rode atop the Type 4 chassis. The 9000 was Saab's first proper luxury car, but failed to achieve the planned sales volume. But I'll be honest, I really liked the way the 9000 looked. A lot. And carried into the 9.5. And you know what's funny? They say that it wasn't supposed to be the 9.3 or 9.5. It's supposed to say 9-3, 9-5. Because there's a dash. That's how they said they were supposed to say it. So it was a Saab 9-3.
Whatever, Miss Parton.
Yeah, there you go. So, the 900 actually made up 20% of... a popular convertible version in 1986 of the 900. So the factory in Finland made that one. That made up 20% of all 900 sales. Even today, the classic 900.
And Jerry Seinfeld helped. Which is funny because he's a huge Porsche head.
Well, that's true. But like, I feel like Saab's one of those car companies where if somebody's driving a Saab, you don't have a negative opinion. Like, if you see somebody driving a Ferrari, you're like, they're probably a jackass.
Instead of, hey, it's a Saab, look at that wacko.
Yeah. Was it Clarkson said that Saabs are driven by architects?
Yeah.
Yep.
And now this poor bastard had to drive a 5 Series like the rest of us.
I I did not know. Like, even today, the classic 900 retains a cult following. And do you remember the movie A Time to Kill with McConaughey and Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey?
Only in title.
McConaughey drove a 900 convertible in that, a red one.
That's a strange-looking Lincoln, sir.
And he didn't pick his nose in that one. In 1989,
All right.
the Saab car division of Saab Scania was restructured into an independent company again, but then headquartered in Sweden. General Motors and the investor AB controlled 50% each.
And during which Saab did their damnedest to keep making their cars as good and as strong as possible, much to GM's chagrin, since the bean counters wanted them to cheapen them instead of the Top Gear episode when they take an old 900 and just stack its competition on top of it. And then, hey, here's a 3 Series. Let's drop it on its roof.
Yeah.
You'll be super dead.
Very super dead. You could stack 3 people on top of each other in the 900, turn it upside down and drop it, and all 3 people would live to tell the tale. Must be something to do with that, that shape. Or is it looks like a toddler sticking out his bottom lip?
Yeah,
That's true.
but also firmer pillars before that was mandated. Whereas you look at an E30's pillars, like that, it's lovely, but you're not withstanding rolling that car over.
No, not at all. So
now, there's a reason that you can't see out of cars nowadays. Like, well, it's for safety, and then you can't see, so the safety's not so safe.
Yeah. Well, the new 900
This makes me cyclical.
The new 900 in 1994 shared the platform with the Opel Vectra. And due in large part to its success, Saab earned a profit in 1995 for the first time in 7 years. That's fantastic. See there, you can start a car company and not make money.
That's funny because when I was in Germany back in '99, the family I stayed with had a Vectra and 2 Fiestas.
That's
and there were
not
only
many parties.
No, but it was Well, the parents were both chemical engineers in a 4-level townhouse with the 2 sons, so they're doing all right.
Fair. I think you and your
But the
brother
fact they had
should've-
like a trio of cars, like that was unheard of.
Well, you and your brother should have gone into engineering and minored in chemistry, and then had a joint company called the Chemical Brothers.
Yeah, but I tried engineering. That did not go well. I don't even know what Mike majored in, but he ultimately wound up in sports medicine, and that's what he's studying for now in Greensboro.
He's still in college.
He was out for a while during his valet days. That he was making really good money being at the steelyard all the time, Sullivan's and whatnot, but kind of realized like this is as good as it gets, and being out, 5-6 nights a week.
Yeah, it's kind of
There is no social life.
No.
It's a wonder that he and Laura hit it off, but it wasn't just him wanting to go back to school that brought him back to Greensboro.
Right. Yeah, I'm out late playing music, but that's a little more rewarding, I would imagine. I've never valeted,
but it's also on your schedule. Like
That's true.
right now, I've put valet schedule on hiatus with newer, dumber schedule.
You won't have to valet. I mean, you can do like special events and stuff.
Yeah,
like in the
well,
evenings.
right now I told him like, well, hey, this is going on with the job transition. Like,
I'm sure they're okay with it.
Yeah, I saw the management last week, and when we had an event at Old Mike Brewery.
Oh, nice.
So it's funny. It's like, this is going to be really bad news for folks that have to go work after this. Yeah, let's go have a beer and then go park cars.
Nice. So after those 7 years, the model never achieved the new 900 never achieved the cult following of the classic 900. But the 97 model year marked Saab's 50th anniversary as an automaker, and the company used its, quote, Jubilee owner's convention to launch the replacement for the aging 9000 called the Saab 9-5, or as Steve and I are going to call it, the 9-5.
Mm-hmm.
The 900 received a facelift and renaming complementary to its new larger sibling, and it was called, the 9-3. And General Motors exercised its option to acquire the remaining Saab shares in 2000, spending only $125 million. And that's actually not... I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I was
It's not a lot. Not the amount of money you would think to buy an entire rest of the stake of the car company. What do you think your favorite Saab model of all time is?
That late 70s 99 that Top Gear had, that was a handsome devil.
I would take a mid-alts 9.5 with a stick and the 2.3 liter, because Clarkson's words, not mine. The Saab would do 40 to 70 miles per hour faster than a Porsche 911 Turbo of the same vintage. So passing power was never a problem. There's that beautiful 9.3 wagon Sport Combi. That's fucking pretty. And, of course, they did the 9.5 after that, and they had the Subarus, but ultimately they all died.
The 9.2X, as well as the really bizarre ones, the Sport Utilities, the 9.4X, and the 9.7X.
Yes.
The 9.7X was the Trailblazer one, and the 9.4X was the Equinox.
Yeah.
That's incredibly rare. Rare doesn't make it good, but it is rare.
Well, Koenigsegg announced its intention to purchase the brand from General Motors in 2009, but the deal fell through. Here was the Saab Aero X concept sports car.
Now looks more like the last of the 9.5s.
It really
Just
does.
Bigger wheels and less doors. Fewer doors.
There's the last 9.5. That was a pretty car, but I saw one a couple of days ago, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like you just don't cars you don't expect to see on the road.
Yep.
But I test drove a 9.3 with the all-wheel drive system, and it drove nicely. I might have told the story before on here, but it's been 40, 50 episodes.
It's apt.
I drove it. It was plenty quick. No steering feel. It felt like driving the shitty video games in your hometown's movie theater.
What year was that car?
2008.
By then, that was probably early electric power steering, and that's one of the biggest complaints about electric power steering is that the feel goes away. Like hydraulic, you've got decent feel out of it. Like my car is an 03, has hydraulic, so the 04. The 05s and 06s had electric power steering in those, and oddly enough, don't see a lot of those for sale.
My S2000 has electric power steering.
But
it's good. But it also is not drive-by-wire. It actually has a throttle cable.
Okay.
06 was the drive-by-wire system.
Or I might have confused that with the electronic cable. Yeah, drive-by-wire in those.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is like all those cars. Like there are
had it.
lots of 03s and 04s. Fewer of the 2ZZ powered 05s and 06s.
Right. The ultimate thing about the Saab though, the sticker on it. This was 2010.
The sticker price.
The sticker price on it.
Oh goodness.
All right. So 2010, I was looking at a nice sedan to buy, and then I had it down to because I was looking for an Infiniti G37 with a 6-speed. They were impossible to find because they were all ratted out already. So I had it down to the Saab and the TSX. The TSX stickered at $30,000, and I ended up ultimately purchasing it for $18,000 with 33,000 miles. The Saab was an 08. It had 7,500 miles in 2 years. It stickered for $55,000, and it was listed for $17,900. Now,
this is also once the brand was dead, which isn't going to help its cause.
No. If you're going to buy that car and drive only that car for the rest of your life,
you need
maybe
a 6A card.
Yes. Maybe it makes sense. But I was looking at that. I'm like, if it's already depreciated like that, what happens if I drive this car 2 years and then I decide I don't want it anymore? It's going to be worth like...
You need to give somebody $100 to take it away from you.
You could, or as the old timers in my hometown would say, well, just park it in a vacant lot with the window down, the key in the ignition, and $100 bill in the windshield wiper. See if somebody takes it. I've heard that more than once back in Oak Duro.
And hey, the car's still here, but the cash is gone.
Cash was worth more than the scrap value.
The old click and clack joke. Yeah, how do you double the value of your car? Fill up the gas tank.
Basically. I was going to say
Hey, that's
fold
what
it in half. That's your money.
The car, the cash. Yes.
Really. So that's a very brief history, but that's pretty much all you need to know about Saab. Saab was a quirky Swedish car company that never really made any money, but people still bought
They
the cars.
sure seem to have had some fun. Kalen's dad had one that he enjoyed. He kind of bounced around a lot of his mid-tier Luxo barges until landing on a Murano that is, like, apparently the second one's been good. She had bought his first one off him and quickly hated it because it kept cutting itself off.
That's the old school start-stop method. It wasn't supposed to do it. I really like the Infinity FX.
Yeah.
I like
the
those.
FX35s. Yeah. That was the beginning of me realizing cars are starting to look like cars from the game Mega Race.
Was that
They
an
ever play-
SNES?
Oh, it was PC. It was PC,
Oh, it was a PC
CD-ROM. But if you look at the cars in this game, it'll make sense. There's just these big, beefy-looking things that
looks-
go and kill each other.
God, they got that. If it came with a stick, I would probably drive one of those. It looks that fucking. You know what? You could probably
was the
do it.
quintessential, like that looked cool, but the EXs look so bizarre. Like they shrank it. It was like the Nissan Rogue based Luxo barge thing. Like it didn't look right then, but those first gen FX35s back mid-aughts.
Yeah,
That was a cool looking rig.
because it had I think it had 20-inch wheels on it too.
Yeah.
That looked
It was like
really
it was like
nice.
that, and the Dodge Rams of the era were the first cars to have stock 20s. Meanwhile, I had 18s in my car briefly and hated it. Now I've got 17s with bigger, fluffier tires.
I was going to
and,
ask you what the biggest size wheel you've had. Not tire, but wheel.
18s.
And it's
Those
18.
are still sitting back at my house. I need to post on Cracklist. Like, hey, for sale, set of wheels, one good tire.
I've got a funny.
Hey
wheel-
guys, $200 bucks and they're yours.
I've got a funny wheel story for you, but before I get into it, the biggest wheel I've had is a 17. I've never had a car with bigger than 17. So you got me beat.
Yay. Oddly enough, these were a set of 5 wheels I got from a guy.
Yeah.
He got them and realized they wouldn't fit his Prius. Just the
Yeah, no
wheel and
shit.
tires were too big to fit in the fender wells. And I'd done a little looking and discovered, these will fit. I kept them on about a year and realized I really didn't like them. So stepped back down to a different set of 17s. So the Pontiac Vibe stock 17s that look like Matchbox wheels. Sold those to a guy in Greenville.
Those are the
Had
blade
the-
wheels, right?
The 5-spoke, like big fat blades. The 16s were less aggressive looking.
Yeah.
But the 17s look like they got plucked off a Matchbox car.
What's the
the-
smallest wheel you've ever had on a car? I'm thinking I know.
14s. I think the Volvo had 15s. The first truck had 14s.
Really? I
Yeah,
thought
it was.
15
It had
on it.
14s on that one. It was a 97. It had big fluffy tires on it. Like, I think at the end it had 225 70 14s on it. The first GTI would have had 195 60 14s. I don't think I had anything small enough or cheap enough to have 13s on it, like an 80s Corolla or an early 90s like base model Civic. Buddy of mine had that on his.
I had 14s on my Civic, my HX.
Which
And
I think only then the SIs would have had 15s on those.
And what's funny is at the time they did look kind of. They were like, "Oh, those are big." Now it's like 15s look like Smarties,
Yeah.
like casters.
Well, it's also a matter of scale that my, still small car looks totally okay with 17s on it.
That's 2017, so it looks fine.
And the ones with 16s still looks pretty decent. Then you get to other things, like the 14s on the first Tacoma looked a little silly.
Not as silly as the late model for Tacomas with the small wheels.
Goodness,
That is so.
Oh yeah, the two-wheel drive non-pre-runner Tacomas with those dog shit ugly wheels
That's the
are
ugliest.
atrocious. Well, even like the later Tacomas that had the 15-inch steelies, those don't look good. At least the earlier ones had the hubcaps on them, so it's like, all right, it's small, but it looked less bad. Those steel wheels from the 01 to 04 and then the later ones look really bad.
I'm not saying it's the
Especially like
ugliest
the
truck. It's the worst looking, like
iteration thereof.
the worst looking iteration of a truck I've ever seen because it's so stupid. I'm trying to. It
Disproportionate.
Looks like, do you know the old mall rides where they had like you put a quarter in and it was a truck and it just like bounced?
Yeah, it
That's
would have
what
these little
looked like.
tiny wheels on it just
Yes.
for some delusion of this thing looking sort of like an automobile.
That's what it looked like. I'm out of booze. You?
Uh-huh.
All right. You get to pick this time. I kind of want a hotcakes.
Now I have to...
You've tied yourself in a
I
knot.
tie my... just... Yeah. Kind of got myself stuck in the headphone cable.
Well, once again, I apologize for the popping and everything, but we've already restarted this episode once, and I think you get the gist of it. It's more about the content than it is this, and this is kind of the first time that's happened, so you can...
It's the first time in a while.
Well-
We had it earlier on.
True, but I don't know what's going on because we've restarted the computer a million times, and you know what? It's fine. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all about the content, and yeah, if you want the cookies and cream, go for it. I've had it a million times. I'll take the hotcakes, which I've had also a million times, but I really want an IPA. Cheers to the rest of this boulevard. And here's the hotcakes from... Now it's my turn. Or actually, no, you did it, but we already deleted it, so... Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
Let's see if a flying dog cookies and cream does a thing.
Yeah, kind of. Steve, it's hard to... Cheers that mic stand.
Sure that Mike San is... have to drink off the side of the bottle.
I'm going to cheers you with that part then, because you just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't care. It's like, I don't have anywhere to eat for almost 12 hours.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm drinking Noda Hopcakes. We've had it on the podcast before, and this is the 2020 version of it. And guess what? It's still as delicious as it always
Funny
is.
because I'm sure I've still got some 18s and maybe 19s at home that will probably still taste the part.
We missed out on the special edition. They had the double maple one, the maple bacon hopcakes, and
I
the
heard
blueberry.
they went ape shit with special versions of it this go round.
They did, and they were out. Toby and I did a mini beer crawl, and actually, we're going to be probably playing at Free Will in Noda, the self-pour place.
Okay.
Their owner was like, what do you guys play? We were like, mostly 90s stuff.
Does that mean you need to learn Rush?
Probably. We need more band members because Toby and I are neither good enough musicians or to cover that.
Dude, I've been listening to a lot of Rush in the last month. I mean, the band, not the fascist.
Correct. We were like, oh, we play nothing but 90s stuff. He's like, he said, I fucking love the 90s stuff. He's like, so we're going to get you guys in here. It's like,
all right.
Cool. So I need to get out there a little bit more because I've been kind of depressed. Like, I'm not playing as much as I used to, but a lot of the places we used to play, like, have either closed or not doing music, or I'm waiting on them to reopen new places. I need to go out there and just start getting my face out there again and at new places. And we got back at Commoners in November. Went to Commoners last night with Sean and Karin and Mel and Jason. So I'm going to try to get in there, try to get in Old Armor. I'm just going to pick maybe one day a week and go out and network at new places. So, by the way, how's that cookies and cream?
Dreamy.
It's fucking good, isn't it? Flying Dog doesn't really do any bad beers, to be honest. Although we need to open one called Sailing Cat.
It was funny though. There was a cassette on this.
Yes.
And my latest addition to my home PC is a cassette deck that I've been looking for a while to pick up a 5 1/4 old school floppy drive in black, only to discover those start at about $50.
See if it fits.
I didn't drink enough.
Reminds me of my honeymoon.
Heyo. But then somehow this thing pops up. That idea is it's this drive that you put in a desktop computer, and you could rip your cassettes to MP3, like just using a single device instead of using a cassette deck into your audio input and going from there. Well, just the drive shows up, like it doesn't have the extra cabling for it. It's like, for all intents and purposes, I don't care. It's this crazy ass turn of 2000 like purple thing. So now that's so that's sitting underneath my Blu-ray DVD burner. So it's a nice mix, and between that and the Switch panel, that killed 2 hard drives.
Gotcha.
I'll miss you, that 1.5 terabyte.
Well,
Whoops.
now I have the Pi up here in the Super
Or
Nintendo.
you still have a vacancy here. I can find you one too.
I need to get a splitter to be able to plug the Pi into the TV, and the HD. There's only one HDMI port in the TV. I think there's only one HDMI port.
We'll investigate that later. I would imagine it has at least 2. Usually they have at least 2.
Maybe it does, but I think I only saw one. But I was kind of just casually looking at it. But here's how I know that we're both old now, because somebody posted a picture of a floppy disk, and it was like, hey, look, somebody 3D printed the save icon. I'm like, ouch. Fuck. I had to explain to one of the coworkers.
Somewhere I still have a bunch of those 3D save icons.
No,
that would be a lot of fun, like to put up on a corkboard.
Yes.
To do that, like that and the Raspberry Pi Zero W that I still can't get to work. Like, for what it's worth, this kit was effectively free on eBay after I had to refund somebody on a game that she swears didn't arrive. Like, A, no. 2, fuck. 3, you.
Yes.
But then eBay sends me a coupon like, here's $25 to spend as you see fit. Like,
okay.
let's see what the Pi Zero W does. Effectively nothing. Well, for what it's worth, like, there's one USB input. It does have Bluetooth. It does have Wi-Fi, but it's decontent. And it's like, I really don't care if this thing works. I'm not picking up another one to try to do anything with it. Instead, did find a quartet of 2B boards, which have internet, 4 USB ports, but no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi. But for playing old school games, could totally work on closeout for $14 a pop instead of $35. So I'm just gonna build those up and pawn them off. Like, those are still selling for the same price as the 3B boards, the 3B plus boards, and now the 4B boards with 2 gigs of RAM that are even more bigger, better, powerful.
That's what
I've even got I've got a Raspberry Pi 4 gig that I haven't done anything with because I haven't any time to. It's just like, I want this. I'm going to get this. Shit.
Listening to you talk about computer stuff is probably what I imagine it is when you hear me talking about music stuff to you.
At least with the music stuff, things can maybe make a little bit more sense. Like, blee blee and blah blah is going to be like, the chords, forget it. I don't understand that alphabet.
I could teach you tonight I could teach you by 8 o'clock.
After all this booze?
All right, yes. By 8 o'clock, it's 6:26 Eastern Standard Time. I could teach you how to play 3 chords. You'd be able to play about 5,000 songs with C, G, and E, or C, G, and D. So many songs have that chord.
There's a CBGPod card podcast tuna.
There's so many songs that have those chords.
Or is that Psych of Six song, like the drop H, like how heavy they make it?
Well, the thing is, too, people think that lower down tuning makes things heavier, and it just makes it lower. It doesn't make it heavier. It just makes the tuning lower.
It just depends on how you feel after you listen to it.
Well, it's like, what's a heavier song? Like, I mean, is Diary of Jane a heavier song than Sad But True? No. But it's tuned down lower. Diary of Jane's tuned down to drop A sharp. Sad But True's in D standard. So Is it a heavy? No, it's a lower tune song, but it's not a heavier sound. I mean, a lot of the thrash records are in E standard. It's just a regular standard tuned guitar. But Alice in Chains is half step down, so it's an E flat. So every string's half a step down. My blue guitar now is in drop C, so all the strings are tuned down one whole step, and then the string to the very left is tuned down.
They look the same from here.
A lot. Yeah, well, that's okay. So now, at least now, you were speaking gibberish to me, and now I'm speaking gibberish to you.
Thanks, I feel better.
Yes, me too, actually. But what we need to do is make a Raspberry Pi that's where the guts and everything, you can find the shape of it in the large floppy disk and just lay it down on it. That'd be so fucking cool, man. Impossible for now, but still cool.
Yeah, best I got's the smoked case of it that this website had for $1 a pop.
Smoked case.
It was like a smoked acrylic, like
Smoked
unlike
queso.
the one that you had earlier before the SNES case.
Right.
Was clear acrylic,
Ah.
and instead of being like plain Jane clear, it's clear but a darker gray.
Oh. It's gray without having met Courtney? Wrong Gray. We didn't get Gray on the podcast. I don't know if he has any interest in it, but
I don't know.
he lives on the moon now, so.
He and I could have, would have, should have met last week, but I was not feeling good to go get out, and I wasn't feeling optimistic about going to Optimus Hall. So
Well,
that was the tentative plan.
Where's Optimus Hall?
Noda-ish.
That's right.
It's where the Charlotte Boxcar Betty's, hey, I'm wearing that now, is going to be.
Eat food, not drugs.
Why not both?
Fair. Thomas allegedly has some more fungus.
Among Us?
Yeah.
What's up, Incubus 1997?
Yes.
But yeah, idea being that they use natural chicken instead of chickens full of
Chickens with
hormones
fake
and
breasts.
delicious.
I mean, it can be. Is Kay joining us for Mex?
I told her that by about 7 we'd probably be wrapping, and I'll let her know then. So it's 6:30 now.
That's true.
So we still could go do a thing.
We got 30 more minutes, Steve. What
Hey.
we got? Do we want to do a music history, or do we want to do what we done? We did beer news. We did the car. Do you want to do Fleetwood Mac? We have not done anything from the 70s.
I swear I'm not Stevie Nicks. 70s is their big shebang.
True. So I say we do that because
So rumors has it we should do this.
rumors has it that band is dead
Like,
without
I'm,
Buckingham.
Funny thing, things never panned out with me with anyone named Lindsay, and oddly enough, my
With
ex
EY
named,
or AY, right?
yes.
No.
Oddly enough, my ex Lindsay is now dating a Steve.
Which did I meet that
A
one?
long time ago.
Was that at Old Mech?
No,
that was-
at Saucer and at the house, back at the Glasgow house.
Steve, I can't keep up with all this. Okay,
Dude, what can I say? I have lots of war stories, and at this point, they're all kind of faded up here too.
I've got news for you, buddy.
But
I don't know if I'll tell you off mic, but Brittany and Chris are not a thing anymore.
shit, I liked him.
I did too, but now I think he's really weird. I'll explain this to you off mic because I don't know if she listens to this, and I don't think she does, but to protect her privacy, I don't want it out there. It has nothing to do with her. The reason it was broken off was such a weird reason, and the only thing I'll delve into is that only after seeing somebody for 2 months, you can't expect them to be to like everything you like, everything in your life that you like. You can't expect that person after 2 months. Emily and I still don't agree on some things, and I still love her. Like, I'm not gonna leave because of it. Like, it's so fucking weird.
I got something fun.
Yeah.
Callan's big Dave head.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm not.
Me either. And Steve, that's why we get along so well. Because even though you like Faith No More, and I don't really care for it, but I like Korn and you don't care for it, we both hate Dave Matthews. I don't hate Dave Matthews. I don't like it.
Hey, just doing this and to that face.
I got a saxophone in my band. Don't care. Don't like it. I don't like Grateful Dead either.
I enjoyed the Skeleton from the Closet, but that was their best of from 1974. Outside of that, I've never consumed enough drugs to appreciate them.
Fair. We have the same beer tastes, and food tastes are roughly the same.
You're more vocal about what you don't like.
True. We know you don't like blue cheese, but I can't think of anything else I eat.
And with enough hot sauce, it gets nullified.
Well,
so there's that trick.
But other than that, what else do I eat that you don't enjoy that much? I can't think of anything.
What you're taking yellow mustard?
I like yellow mustard. I like all mustard.
I've finally gotten the hand of fancy mustard, so there's that.
Oh, I could just sit.
Licorice?
I like licorice.
More for you.
Okay. So there are things. I don't love licorice, but I can eat it. Like, you know, like fennel, anise fennel.
Yeah, the general flavoring thereof, which was a big hang-up, discovering that that's what's in absinthe.
Yeah.
I think first time I had it, I had to add a whole bunch of fruit juice or something to it, to make it the least bit palpable. So somewhere at Eileen of Gray's place, I'd still have a bottle of Mansynth, and it still tastes like absinthe. And that wasn't the first one I had. The first time I had absinthe was in Raleigh, back in my youth, and the Green Fairy was a menace. Or the fact I tried that after 6 Yinglings and mostly an empty stomach except for a bunch of Doritos.
Oh, my goodness.
The next day, Mary and I had been barfing up just the color green. I swear I didn't have any original NyQuil that day, but that's about what it looked.
My buddy Josh Hagler.
And to those listening this far in the podcast, I'm terribly sorry for that visual.
Well, I would rather hear somebody do that than eat on mic, so...
Yeah, the tales of previous Ralphings.
Yes. Previous Ralphings is another great punk band name.
Is that what happens when the grocery store in California has treated you badly? It's a bad Ralphing.
Yes. My buddy Josh Hagler, he ordered, back when absinthe was illegal, he ordered it from France. And it came in an emergency medical supply box because it was not legal here. Mm-hmm. And he was tracking it, and it went from France to the UK to Canada to Japan.
What?
To California to here. And it took 2 weeks to get here. And then we all drank it, and I didn't see shit. And evidently, wormwood is not. Wormwood is hallucinogenic if you take a lot of it and you only take wormwood. But the thing is, there's not that much wormwood in absinthe. You would have to take wormwood like you would take shrooms or take pot. You would have to take a lot of it to really see anything. Previous Ralphings. So great.
Never mind how much I enjoy my Hunter S. Thompson. I couldn't maintain that level of psychomatic nonsense.
With this, allegedly, the last time we did the shrooms, we staggered the dose. This time, we're going to do the whole fucking shebang at once because I want to. Now that I've done it once, that's the thing. If you do something the first time, you don't want to go. You don't want to jump in the pool, dip your toe in the pool, and then your leg, then your body.
That's real funny considering your disdain for swimming.
No, I don't hate swimming. I just can't do it.
Can or won't.
I cannot swim. I can't float. I don't float. I sink. I've tried to float, and I don't all float down there. Pennywise.
You float like I do, which means you don't.
I don't need it, but you can swim.
Yeah, badly, but yes.
Yeah, I don't even swim badly.
Or the Hunter S. Thompson quote I was looking for is, "Not that I needed all that for the trip, but once you get locked into a serious drug collection, the tendency is to push it as far as you can." From Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
like, oh wait, you already outlined your highlights from the Vegas trip, and none of which involved ether, because it's 1971.
We have to go back. I want to go back. Like, Emily's going to be mad at me.
I keep badgering Colin of like stuff over text. Like, I haven't heard from him since I told him about the new job. Like, dude,
Who?
Colin. Like, I may have like pick his brain about the Vegas trip. Like, I talked to him on the way back from. I guess it was the way back from Greensboro back a month ago. And I think I might have told him about like the job fair then, but since then, haven't managed to contact him. So not since Vegas trip, like not since about the time I told him like I couldn't make it to that. It's like, lo and behold, that's going to be. Hey, Thomas.
Yeah.
Now it's your phone going off instead of my watch going off for weird vibrating noises.
I can answer it if you want me to.
Do what you want. Live from Studio 54, it's Thomas Blaylock.
You're on another episode of the podcast right now because I told you specifically we were recording this episode.
I remembered. This time I actually remembered, and I was okay with having a conversation on air.
All right.
Is there any level of inappropriateness involving activities that are questionably legal that I cannot field on this call?
No one's listening to this shit. Go for it.
All right. Well,
Hi, no one.
I'm considering indulging when I get home. I am currently en route to get a scale to make sure that I don't, fucking die. But I'm considering this strongly. Talk me out of it. You may or may not be more sober than me.
No, it's doubtful. Like, Steve and I get down on these podcasts, which you need to be a guest on, by the way.
What you need is caramel black velvet in your life.
It into my schedule. Actually, no, my schedule sucks. But one day, maybe. Whenever.
Yeah, you're only
what do you think, though? Like, is this a good idea or bad idea, Mom?
Well, by yourself, it's not a great idea.
Well, Thomas, for what it's worth,
I have no qualms about this.
You're the only person doing two jobs worse than I am.
Oh, yeah. Man, I haven't crashed into anyone yet, so that's probably the only thing I've got going for it. But if you and Steve are down,
I don't think Steve is. Steve's is going to be gainfully employed at a new job that he actually wants to be at.
Thomas, so tomorrow...
I've only been communicated this via proxy. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's why I gotta hear better on the mic.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Could you hear that?
No. Well,
he keeps bouncing between having the phone by the mic and then flinging it at me. Like, I can hear it through the mic, through my headphones better than him, like, holding the phone over to me.
No, I was holding the phone over to you so you could talk into the phone better so he could hear you. So that's why I was moving the phone.
I just gotta enunciate more better, y'all.
This is entirely more amusing than it should be.
Meanwhile, I got a new Casio watch that doubles as a sex toy because it vibrates.
So I don't know how far away the phone is.
Good news, it's waterproof too. So put two and two together.
Black Casio sex toy.
That's your new band name.
That's the Black Casio sex toy. Well,
it's partly silverized.
That was not what he said, but that's what I got from it.
We can do any night this week except Tuesday if you want to. I just have to. I'm off tomorrow. I close Tuesday, open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Then I'm off Saturday.
At this point, I'm feeling sick. Jesus fucking Christ. Also, beware the PPS.
Are you feeling Jesus fucking Christ?
I mean, I might be tonight, maybe, I don't know. But I'm feeling Monday night. I'm feeling sooner is better at this point.
Monday night. I'll be at Saucer.
Not like while you're at Saucer, after.
No.
How late have they be to work Tuesday?
Sorry, we got a lot of GPS going because mine on both of the two replacement phones, because I set the first one back for this, just sort of stops navigating, and like there's no error message. You'll just be driving, and suddenly, according to the GPS, your car has gone from 75 miles per hour stationary on the road, and then at some point you realize you're not going in the direction you thought you were going.
Why haven't I leaped?
That was yesterday.
I mean, you what?
Quantum leap.
By the way, best episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is the Quantum Leap episode.
Oh my god.
You still got the flash right downstairs.
But yeah. Thomas, I might do some with you tonight. Find out what the turnaround time is to feeling the effects, but I'm going to be eating dinner beforehand. And you said...
It's about 1 hour.
An hour?
No, it's about 1 to 3 hours. It's 1 to 3 hours is the turnaround time.
Fuck.
Just when you get done, call me or text me or something, and by that point, I will, not have 3 million GPSs telling me that I'm going in the wrong direction and or not working at all.
I mean, you're not doing a cannonball run, so I don't know why you have so many GPSs going at the same time.
Hey, Alex Roy is his spirit animal too, damn it.
Navigating us home, and my GPS is navigating me to a place with a postage scale, so we can not play mushroom roulette at any point in the next week.
Can't say fungus without fun.
All right, but it kind of might not have had we either had more or been on an empty stomach.
Well, now you've been a guest on the podcast for 5 minutes out of an hour and 27 minutes, roughly. So,
and no one's died, so I consider that a promising sign.
I mean, I can keep you on the phone till you crash into a tree.
But I feel like that would probably make it onto idiots in cars or what could go wrong.
And, well, you know what I feel like? I feel like if we have you on the podcast, you'll still be a douche and call me during the podcast that you're actually participating in.
Well, on the bright side, this is the first time I have actually remembered you were doing a podcast and called you intentionally during it.
Well,
I mean, that's either worse or better, but I'm not really sure which.
It's wetter. All right, on that note, I'll let you know after the podcast.
All right, later.
See ya.
Leaving.
Steve, I have no idea where we were before that. You
Hunter S.
said
Thompson, Island of Paraphernalia.
Hunter S. Thomas?
It is now.
It is now. What a silly guy that is. But I've known him long. My cast of characters I've known is... Like, I've known Thomas longer than anybody, and Thomas and Toby and Eric King, ironically. And then you've known you and Colin grew up together, right?
Yeah, I've known him since the 80s.
That's not a real decade, is it?
When were you born?
Yes. It's funny explaining to people like that I work with how things used to be, and when I tell them that I carried my dad's pager to work with me, or not work. I carried my dad's pager one day when he was off to school with me, and everybody thought I was so fucking cool because I had a pager, and now not only would nobody not think it was cool, they wouldn't even know what it was. If you gave that to a 16-year-old,
yeah.
Like, so you can't even call somebody. They just want you to call them.
Yeah.
Why was this an invention? And to that I say, I fucking have no idea.
Because it was way cheaper to have this thing offer you a 12-character digit message, not even text message, that blee and blah blah wants you to contact them.
Or it just said
and
boobs.
Now it's, and what, 80,000 to 85?
8,005. 8,008.5 would be boob point S.
Wait, your pager offered a decimal? You decadent pig. And then came the text pager with like a 2x16 screen of, very brief, almost email message.
Hey, it's Bob. We had a baby. It's a boy.
How to scam the collect calling industry, which is another thing youngins will have no idea what's going on here. The wars of 1-800-CALL-ATT versus 1-800-COLLECT.
Yeah. Sorry.
How and the what and the huh?
Sorry, guys. We were having that discussion last night at Commoners about the 1010, 220, 1010, 123.
1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1?
10, 3, 2,
Or
1.
why not both?
Yeah, 10, 2, 3, 2, 1. And then they had the collect 1-800-CALL-ATT was one. Yeah, there was a hey, come pick me up. God damn it. That's the shitty part about getting up early is you get tired earlier. But I didn't get a nap today.
Instead of all the time.
That's fair.
I'm recovering from being a wreck, and maybe by the time of my 4th anniversary, I could be in better shape.
So by April...
Financially, still a wreck, but at least personally better.
So April, you will be gone from print shop completely.
Yeah.
So why don't you just leave altogether? You're just trying to snack as much as possible? Or you're just being friendly to them? That
pretty much.
How long till the friendly goes, you know what, I don't want to fucking do this anymore?
Like I said earlier about my lack of wanting to get there on time and nobody saying anything. One of the guys on second that could go on third, but he's not trusted to take care of one of the other things on third at all. Keeps showing up about 3.5 days a week. Like there is no enforcement to really fucking up. There's just, all right, this thing didn't perf, the color's bad. It's, or you lined up the pages going into the cutter and stacker improperly, so everything printed out of order. That's really going to mess the thing up, because I've caught that a few times that, it needs to go, dip back up, dip back down around this. Well, you missed the around this part and ran 3,000 pages upon discovering, why is it doing the...
That's got to be the worst.
Doofus.
That's got to be the worst feeling ever.
Not as bad as it would be if I had ran more. That's like, why is this doing the... Oh. Well... I'm just, leave it up there. Like, yep, so new guy did this again. That's also part of the problem that they can't get somebody on to learn this. Like, it comes with a steep learning curve. It took me a month to get the hang of this back in February, March of 16. The equipment's the same. It still has the same problems it did then, and our genius vice president signed our 5-year lease on it. So, like, there is better stuff out there instead of the needlessly complicated bunch of bullshit this is. So, if anybody out there needs a job and hates themselves, try this. I gotta say, it was with great trepidation that I signed on to this after having been let go from the company, so... I'm the better man for offering up this bunch of nonsense, but yeah, if my 2 weeks notice becomes a 7-week, so be it, but you're not going to see me there in April.
That's good.
Because that's going to be another quarter end, and then that's more mandatory weekends with more bullshit tacked on. Like, even this past week, usually end of the month should be easier going. Even the usual stuff, busy. And extra stuff going on too, so they had to have the insert crew coming in earlier as well. That was a real shock seeing them come in at 2:30 instead of 4:30. What are you doing here now? Because this is the blackout period was the 2nd week, not the 4th week. Hey, they just come in at 2:30 to take care of blah blah blah. It's like, You're having no volume out of me. I can tell you that much.
Why don't they just have you train your replacement after your new so you work your new job 6 to 2:30? Why don't they just train your replacement from like 4 to 8?
They're still the other person on second that's been there longer than I have. That's good at her job. She's looking to retire somewhere between July and December.
She's in her 60s.
Yeah, she's like the majority of the people working there are within, if not 6 months, 5 years of retirement. It's a lot of people that have been doing this a long time, either at this site or points elsewhere. I've always been one of the younger people working there, and now at 38, still am.
So it's death's waiting room. It's like Florida in there.
It's not that bad, but if the humidity, this being a print shop and the nature of the printing equipment, that humidity, like especially when it rained really badly a few weeks ago, that noticeably made the equipment run worse. Yeah, if there's additional moisture in the air and it's a crappy warehouse from 20 years ago, it's not set up to accommodate for this. That you can't just leave giant roll of paper on the floor. It will start having water seep into the roll. So all these big whirls are sitting on these giant rubber mats. It's 1,000 pounds of paper, and if you flung the whole thing out, it's 7 miles of paper, AJ. And considering how it's run, it gets cut and split in half. So the usable portion of this is 14 miles of paper. And assuming everything runs well, in 90 minutes, it's done.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's faster than I can run.
There's some crazy... and odd enough, all the equipment's in metric, so it's, at its peak is running 150 meters a minute.
Metric's not real. Actually, you know what? Her Emily's father, my father-in-law, said that
Ken!
Back in the 70s, they were trying to convert to metric, but the problem was they weren't teaching them metric. They were teaching them how to convert from standard to metric. So the people knew how to convert, but they still didn't know what a decimeter and things like that were.
Let's face it, no one uses decimeter. Centimeters, millimeters, meters, yes. Decimeter, never caught on. A decimeter is about a third of a foot.
I'm being flamboyant in my explanation.
Yeah, but...
True.
Just like I can tell anybody, yes, I'm about 75 kilos. What's that? A lot of Coke.
Diet Coke?
No, that'd be if I was 70 kilos.
We were supposed to do Fleetwood Mac before Thomas called.
Yeah, we were.
Do we even have time to do Fleetwood Mac? Because that's a big fucking...
I think tacos is going to be more important, so we'll have to delay, and...
Let's push. We'll push Fleetwood Mac till 55.
It's our podcast, and we'll mess this up when we want to.
I think so, because Thomas derailed it for 10 minutes, and that's... To be honest with you, there's a lot of Fleetwood Mac to discuss, and I don't think they should have continued touring without Lindsey Buckingham, because he is kind of important. And they actually replaced him with 2 members. If it takes 2 people to replace one...
That's really funny considering back when I first started at... Who are we this week? Excella? It had been Regulus, or one of the Harry Potter books characters had a brother named Regulus Black.
Really?
Yeah, apparently, that name had popped up somewhere, punching it in. That's also a cruise missile. So, the original name of the company when I joined was cool. Everything else is terrible. Yes, we're Excella, and no, we don't. But had been in warehouse, but moved from there to data center. Well, apparently that does such a good job. They hired 2 people to replace me at that one, which is real funny when I keep bumping into one of those guys, out and about, at least 3 or 4 times now. that he's working with a furniture moving company.
No. You can make good money doing that, but that's just so strenuous.
He's more of an ox than we are, so there's that.
That's we're
It was a much better look when he finally replaced his gold teeth with something a little more porcelain. He knew it. Like you're a victim of the era.
like if you want to come and beat up me and Steve, it's gonna take 1/4 of one man to do it. I'm not gonna fight you. I'm not fighting for any unless you come after Emily, my guitars, or my kitties. I'm not gonna fight you for anything. Just make it quick. This is Emily when she beeps the horn at somebody in traffic. I'm like, will you please just make sure that the person is much smaller than me and doesn't look like they do any sort of competitive fighting. Don't beep. Make sure when you look at them, you just make sure you mean it. Because I'll fight for you, honey, but I don't want to lose.
It's been a difficult transition from beeping or flipping people off in traffic to simply giving them the flick of the chin. That's apparently the same effect in sign language.
Yeah.
And like, was his chin itchy?
I
thought he'd be mad at me or something.
I just do this. Just give him the thumbs down and keep going.
The fun thing having old car you don't give a shit about, like what, someone tailing you, drop a gear.
I do.
And don't speed up.
I do.
Things I really miss about having the pickups.
Well, I thought about having like toggle switches to like turn brake lights off and then get a light bar for the back. Turn brake lights off, turn light bar on. Tailgate me again. Ark of the Covenant. Well, here's a fun story.
It belongs in the museum.
Fun story before we go. Who knows how long we're going to be here? In the water pump fiasco, blah blah blah. I got the Jeep back, and then I was like, I didn't know my passenger side taillight was cracked. Like the whole thing was cracked, and I was like, well, I have a spare. Do you know why I have a spare?
Because that's not easy to come by, and you better buy them up when you can, and they're cheap. Nope,
they still have those square headlights at Advance that they still have those.
Oh, I thought you meant the taillight, not the headlight.
All right, so headlight. I might have said tail light.
Oh,
sorry.
okay. Headlight, yeah.
Headlight.
There are a lot of things that fit those square lights because
but
America was stupid back in the 80s as well as now.
I had a spare. And Emily's like, why did you have a spare headlight? And I was like, well, AutoPal had an H4 light conversion, which is kind of like not LED, but like a high HID. So I bought HID. So on the website, it said HID or AutoPal HID light. There was no S. So I was like, it was $25. I'm like, for one light, not bad. So I bought two. So I bought two lights, and I get my package in, and I have 4 lights. I was like,
okay.
Oh. So I had an extra light.
So
I just threw the old one away and put the other one in.
They were prepared to set up your Jeep as though it were a junior Wagoneer of the time.
Yes. So I had an extra headlight because the other one was cracked, and I just threw it away. Got the other one out. Had an H4 bulb, and
I don't remember if I have a spare headlight bulb for my car because it would keep eating them.
Well,
it's been a while, and my battery's still sitting loose because of it.
Yeah.
But they're $10 a pop. I don't care.
Yeah, the water pump was $70 to fix. So that's another kind of notch in the cap of just keeping the Jeep. Just, you know what? Just keep the thing.
Aren't you glad Dingle of Forza?
Yes.
The Italian Ford Explorer before the Ford Explorer was a Ford Explorer.
Yeah. I mean, the Jeep's loud, but the thing is, I don't realize it's loud until I ride in a car that's quiet, so it doesn't bother me. And it's very smooth down the highway, and that has to do with a lot with the Michelins.
And the fact you have 75 series on it.
That too.
That I'm enjoying my 55 series on mine now versus the 45s that were on before it.
It's very nice.
Because it had the stock Scion TC tires earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And was like, all right, it's a matter of time before these are dead enough. I can get rid of them.
Yeah.
And there's minor front end damage on my car that it will like the tire and fender well will rub if I'm going over a speed bump. It's so funny. It's like, well, there's that. Or take a turn too sharp, it'll rub. Like, whatever. The car's got 270 on it. Like, the stakes are low.
Better than my Dodge truck, where it was rusted out, where the body bolted onto the frame, and you would take a turn fast and hit a pothole, and you could see it move.
My uncle in Virginia had, I don't know if it was an F-150 by then. It was probably an F-100, like a 78. And the floor rusted through it, so you could see the highway beneath you. He replaced that with about 94 F-150. Kept that a while, and then got a Ridgeline, and now as he's pushing 80, is kind of house-ridden.
Well, the Ridgeline...
So I guess I need to go see him before he gets snuffed. Like, his health's been in really bad shape.
Well, the Ridgeline is a perfectly acceptable truck for people who only use their truck like twice a year. You don't need that F-350 most of the time unless you're a delivery driver or, something like so. Yeah, don't. You might like it, and
this
that's
is
fine.
and this is the correct and proper Ridgeline, the first gen, like the good boxy truck instead of like that weird curvy one. Like, that's the best truck ever. It's like, no, it's not.
No, it isn't. You might like it, and that's not what's on trial here. You don't need it. You like it, and that's fine. Just admit it, but don't say that you need it because you fucking don't. Can't figure this new chair out.
The irony of my Tacomas and me was I picked up the first Tacoma after I moved twice in that year, and then didn't for 3 years, and then moved from this end of the parking lot of the apartment complex to the other one.
Yeah.
Made moving furniture certainly easier than it would have in the Camry had before it, but it's like nothing was terribly truck necessary, but this is long enough ago that you could find the cheap stick-shifted 4-cylinder pickup easily that, all right, well, if I need this to do 80, it can, and get not quite 30 miles to the gallon in the process.
I looked at...
I just got bored of it. Had I not just gotten bored of it, I could have saved myself a lot of time and trouble and credit problems.
Well, I'm getting bored of the S2K, but that's a little bit different because it was not my number one car. So
I've
and it's not
pretty well had I can't even say binary. It was like typically one car, briefly, two at a time because old cars getting sold, pawned off, crash, whatever have you.
Yeah, I've had two cars from 04 to 2011, and then I had one. Then I had zero. Then I had one for 2 months, and then I had two since 2013. Soon to be one again. Like I said, I think for $20,000, I think somebody will snatch that thing up.
Oh, totally.
And
just figured, see if we can get away with listing a little higher.
Maybe. I paid $20 for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have put some miles on it.
And then it effectively becomes free car minus tax, title, insurance, tires.
And wreck.
Yeah.
But it's been completely repainted, so there is that. There was a two-door Land Cruiser diesel.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about like the one I showed you that I found in downtown Nashville back in October.
Yeah, they still want a lot for those.
Ian's wedding was October, so that's when I was there.
But the thing is,
that time's flown.
I love right-hand drive cars, but I don't want that to be my only car because that's really inconvenient at the bank and drive-thrus and every day.
You don't go. You don't go to a lot of drive-thrus.
I mean,
banks
after gigs.
Okay.
And banks after gigs It is.
Then
a
just have to
little bit.
figure out how to back through said drive-through. So make sure it's just a straight runway instead of like this nonsense, like the Wells Fargo next to the Wells Fargo in University area. That's like that. Like it's double curved.
Yeah, Thomas went through a drive-through backwards one time at, I think, McDonald's back when he was in college, and it was like, because they have cameras at McDonald's. It's like, thank you for choosing. I know you ain't in my drive-through backwards. He called me afterwards because that's kind of what he does. I like the idea of the Outback.
Upset with this.
I like the idea of the Outback, but like, I don't think the water pump for a Subaru Outback XT is $70.
It's not going to be terribly expensive. Not like you're trying to swap it in a Maserati.
Well, true, but it's the labor that worries me because, like, I could have done the water pump in the Jeep, no problem.
What was the labor on that? 2 hours?
I think so because you had to take the
But
belt
because you
off.
did that and the brakes, right?
I did all the
Okay,
brakes and the water pump, and they did a complete brake flush.
Okay.
It was $850.
Okay.
$850 for like the water pump, the low radiator hose, all the new coolant, all new brake fluid, and a complete brake flush. And then they they redid the drums in the back, and then the discs and the pads in the front. So, and it, you know what? They still fucking squeak in the front, which fucking bothers me.
Just put some WD-40 down, you'll be fine.
I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure that works like that.
Badly.
Well,
that's how.
I thought they were going to do the caliper. I was fully prepared for them to say, we need to rebuild your brake calipers. I'm like, fucking just do it. Because I don't want to do it. I don't want to drain the brake fluid by myself. It's just a pain in the ass to do it by yourself. It's easier to do when somebody's pumping the brakes for you and you're draining the brake fluid. By yourself is a fucking nightmare. But then they didn't say I needed new calipers. I'm like, these are probably the original calipers. So, but they still squeak. So I'm just, it's still smooth when I'm stopping. It's a smooth stop, but they squeak, and I fucking don't like. It's not loud. It's just enough that you notice it, and that's kind of where I live with my annoyance. Just enough to make you mad, not enough to make you mad enough to do something about it. Steve 54 is done with all the popping and all that shit in my ears.
Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief this isn't.
Well, I feel like instead of Fleetwood Mac, we should do a history of Sammy Hagar in 55.
I'll say yes.
What else is fit? We should do Highway 55 burgers and fries.
Still have been to none of them.
You either?
No.
Good, because you know what?
It's burgers and fries.
It's hard to fuck that up. I was like, Emily's like, hey, you want a sandwich from here? I'm like, no. Buy me something I don't want to make myself. Like, I can make a sandwich. That's why I never suggest going to
all my
McAllister's.
grilling interest I've done in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've grilled burgers once.
It's burgers.
They turned out quite finely.
Yeah.
This was fancy shit, though.
I've never had a burger where I went, you know what? This isn't fancy enough. It's not nice enough. It's a fucking burger.
It is something you can find at any restaurant, anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go to seafood joint. You don't eat fish? Hey, you can at least get a burger or chicken nuggets.
Or nuggets or tenders. That's the. But Mr. Latowski has a surefire way at an Italian place. Is like, if you want to know if the Italian place is decent or not, just order the lasagna.
Yeah.
That's pretty labor intensive.
Or like anybody with their go-to dish going to a certain genre restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Although I will say, I'm not a huge New York pizza fan. It's decent. It's not bad, but like it's just really thin, really greasy, and really cheesy. If I'm going to get that, I'll just order cheese sticks.
If only you could have made it to Brian Shebang last weekend. At the end, we wound up at Heist and the pizza joint next to it, where they
Benny
ordered
Pinello's?
They ordered a couple of the giant pizzas from
Benny
there.
Pinello, yeah. Benny Pinello's is good, but it's New
but
York pizza.
It's
good.
apparently really well executed and like plain Jane. dough sauce cheese.
I will say, when we went to Chicago last
And
year...
in fact, it's a 27-inch pizza doesn't hurt.
True.
So it's like it's a lot of it.
Well, true. It was a 27-inch pizza this way, but when we went to Illuminati's in Chicago, it was a pizza this big, but it was that tall, and it was full of cheese
And
and
those
sausage.
not watching, it's about an 18-inch pizza, but 4 inches thick. Because your heart is going to stop tomorrow.
So you can either die from cholesterol, or you can die from a different kind of cholesterol. Carbs?
LDL, HDL, LOL, whatever.
LOL cholesterol. Well, Steve, it's time. It's taco time.
Yep.
Sorry for the pops. We'll see you in 55, I guess.
Probably in 2 weeks.
Probably in 2 weeks. But hopefully Steve gets acclimated to his new schedule, and then we can do an own...
What are you, British or something?
I think I'm just plain-ass white. I don't think I'm like Norwegian or all that other shit that people do.
Saying schedule is a very British thing like that. I always find irksome.
What if I do schedule?
Go on.
All right. Well, Steve, 54's done. 55's coming up soon, and taco time. All right, Steve. I'm not Steve.
And I'm not AJ.
Later.
Bye.